Gentlemen, welcome back to the Ask Alpha Empire Business Lesson Tip. I don't know what I'm calling this thing, but I am today going to tell you how I invest my hard-earned dinero. All right, it wasn't too long ago when I didn't have any hard-earned dinero, but over the years, over the past, I would say 10 years, maybe 12, I've been able to figure things out and basically acquire some money. So what do you do with this extra money? Do you go out and buy Rolexes and rims and gold teeth? You could, but is it a wise investment? Investing, that's what we're talking about today. I'm also going to share with you my breakdown, personal breakdown of where my money is invested based on all of my assets, all right? Whether or not it's in real estate, what percentage I allocate to that versus my defined benefits, which is like my pension for my company versus other stuff. I'm going to share with you today the numbers because I feel like it's important for us to talk about investing. Nobody talked to me about investing when I was younger, all right? It was kind of a dirty word, right? Money was kind of something that we all just knew we didn't have enough. And so that's one of the issues and the things that I talk about when it comes to growing up in an environment where there isn't money. People aren't talking about it in a positive way. It's always hustle to hustle, paycheck to paycheck. And when you live in this environment, you don't learn the dialogue or you don't learn the language of money or investing or why you need to not have a bunch of high interest credit card debt and why you need to put the money that you're not using to work so that it grows over time. And so today I just want to share with you my perspective and what I do. Now, that being said, nothing I do or say is meant as advice. It is simply what this knucklehead has done with some of the extra dinero that he has made. He's also bought himself a nice watch because, come on, you gotta treat yourself. Anyway, speaking of treating yourself, I want you to treat yourself to the deal that I've got for you today. You're gonna get these two products for $20 total. Gentlemen, you're gonna get the texture powder, which is my favorite product, little sprinkle and dry hair. What are you talking about? The volume, the texture, the sexiness through the roof, and then a little sea salt spray action. All right, sea salt pre-styler after the shower. If you want volume, if you want luscious sexiness like your boy, these two products, $20 freaking. It's a huge no-brainer. Basically, you're getting a sea salt for free. Anyway, if you want to support this channel or your amazing hair, hit the link down below and grab the deal. It is for a limited time until my marketing director, Mike, says, yo, stop it. We're going to run out of inventory. Anyway, here's the deal. Today I want to talk about investing. All right, so when I thought about this video, I started really kind of going down the rabbit hole. I started looking at all my accounts. I don't do a great job of looking at all of the accounts that I have and, what are they doing on a daily basis. And this is something that you really need to understand. If you are going to be investing, all right, it's the long game. That's what you're playing. It's not like, oh, I'm going to invest and then in 3 weeks I'm going to have a fortune, all right? I also want you to know up front, I don't own any cryptocurrency. And I know that some of you are like, yo, you're an idiot. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't buy, Bitcoin when my buddy Christian was telling me about it at $30. I was like, no, that's stupid. I don't understand. And that's one of the things. When you don't educate yourself about money or the importance of diversification, you can develop some bad habits, but you could also miss out on some opportunities. But that being said, sometimes these opportunities get us into bad financial situations because we don't want to miss out. And so you do things or you spend or you invest or you pay for things that aren't necessarily a great investment. The one thing I can tell you just from doing this for a little while is that the foundations or the fundamentals are still solid in terms of, investing in a 401k, stock market, this and that, Roth IRA, that is really great advice. And I would also recommend, if you are somebody that has started to accumulate or you're starting to see that the fruits of your labor are paying off a little bit, I think it's a great idea to hire somebody to help you. Now, a lot of people say, no, it's a bad idea, but a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you that I've done, people will say, yo, it's a bad idea, all right? So when I started thinking about this video, I really started to wonder, what is my net worth? So when I started thinking about this video, I started going down the rabbit hole of, okay, what are my assets? How much money do I have in these accounts? How much money do I have in these assets like real estate? So that I could better understand what percentages everything sort of shakes out to be. What percentage of my net worth do I have in real estate versus my defined benefits for my, personal pension or my 401k or my investment account. Like, I needed to know the numbers. And so I started plugging everything in. So just for the record, net worth is your assets minus your liabilities, all right? So here's a little trick or a question. A lot of people don't quite understand this. If you own $10 million worth of real estate, but you have $9 million that you owe to the bank, how much money do you have? What is your net worth? The answer is $1 million, right? If you owe 9, but it's worth 10, you have $1 million worth of equity, all right? If you then have $500,000 in other debt, like car loans and other things, credit cards, now your net worth is actually $500,000, right? It's your assets minus your liabilities or what you owe to other people. And so for me, when I started to do the math, 65% of my net worth is tied up in real estate. All right, now, everybody would be like, whoa, that's not good. Some people would say that's not good. Some people would say that that's good. But most people would say that's way too much or you're overexposed in real estate. The caveat is that all of my real estate is paid for. All right, so I don't have any debt on my office. I don't have any debt on my home. I don't have any debt on my rental units, the salon, my mom's house. Like, I don't have any debt. And that was one of the things that I did purposefully when I started to make a little bit of extra money, is I was paying off my mortgages on these different assets. And the reason is pretty simple, because I want to sleep well at night. One of the things that gets people in trouble, especially with real estate, is they basically will take out big loans on these assets and then something happens, right? The economy tanks, or the interest, it balloons, or the interest rate goes up, or it's adjustable. And then all of a sudden people are like, shit, I don't have enough money or enough, income in order to sustain these payments that I own. And then you have to sell or give back the asset. Well, for me, because I own everything free and clear, I don't owe anybody anything. And so I have eliminated that potential risk. I also have rental income that I get from 3 of the properties. And so on average, I'm making around $300,000 a year in rental income, which is great for me and my future. I can and I plan on selling some of these assets in the future when I decide to get closer to retirement. Now, something else, another number just to throw out to you that I have always been aware of is $5 million. Years ago, I did a little calculation. It was back of the napkin math. And I'm like, all right, how much money do I need? When I started to make good money, how much money do I need? Like, if I've got X number of dollars, I'm good. Like, if the internet explodes, I'm good. I'm this age now. If I live to 100, if I need to get in-home health care, if I need to, I did all the math. And what I found out, or what I believe to be true, is if I have $5 million, I'm good, right? I can basically say, deuces, I'm out. That would give me approximately living on $150,000 a year. Now, that sounds great if you don't have any debt, if you don't have a bunch of, kids that need money and you're not, supporting other people. But $5 million was always kind of that number that I felt like I needed to hit in basically my investment accounts in order to basically be cool. Now, if I sold some of my assets or my real estate, I would have that money, right? Because the salon is worth around $3 million. My mom's house is worth $1 million. My rental unit that I lease out to Marietta Wealth Management is worth $1 million. My office here is worth $500,000. And so there are all these assets. Now, the other interesting thing about these assets is I don't have as much money in them as they're worth, all right? And that's kind of the beauty, and one of the things that I love so much about real estate is that, when it appreciates, that's gravy, right? And so give you an example, the salon that we have, Salon Posta, I have in that cash tied up $2 million, but now it's worth $3 million. It was a dilapidated building. I spent money fixing it up. I didn't take a loan on it, and now it's worth $3 million. So basically, I took $2 million and got $1 million. It also is a business in there, right, which generates revenue. I own 50% of that, so that's good, right? It doesn't kill it like crazy, but it does well. And I also get rent from the salon on a regular basis. Every month I get around $10,000 from it. And so it's been a very, very valuable asset. And so whenever you can buy something, make improvements, even if you keep it and hang on to it, if you need to refinance it or if you need to take money out of it, you're in a really good position. Something else that I did in order to limit my risk, another issue with having money tied up in real estate is that you don't have access to this cash, right? You either need to sell it or you need to get a loan in order to basically have that money. And that's one of the downsides to having money tied up in real estate. And because I know this, one of the things that I did on my last house and my current residence is I got a home equity line of credit that I could draw from anytime I needed it. I don't plan on it, I don't want to, but if I needed it, I've got access to cash. For me, on my home, I took a $3 million home equity line on the house, all right? My credit took a beating because it looks like now I've got like a bunch of credit, even though I haven't drawn from it, but that brings me to something else I just want to talk about, and that is credit. You've got to protect your credit like it is gold, because honestly it is. If you've got bad credit score, you're going to pay more. You're going to have to basically, take it take it when it comes to these interest rates, all right? Interest, in my mind, is simply you making somebody else rich. That's the reason why it was so important to me to pay down all of my debt when I started to make a little bit more money. And in terms of debt, it was real estate. It's like every little bit of extra money, boom, I'm paying it down because I was sick and nauseous looking at basically how much I was paying in interest every single month, every single year. I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. And so for me, it was just making me sleep better. All right, something else I do is I set up something called a defined benefits plan for myself because I'm self-employed. My company basically has like a pension for me. If you are in business for yourself, you need to truly look into setting something like this up because you're able to put away a lot more money than you would typically be able to put away in something like a Roth IRA or a 401k. And so for me, because of the way that mine is set up, I can put away about $150,000 a year in my defined benefits plan or my pension for myself, all right, which is a lot of money, all right? I also invest $10,000 a month in sort of my investment account, basically. I have another account and I've got more money that I've got with a company that basically manages my money, right? I've got two separate basically investments. I've got my defined benefits and then I've got this other account. This other account is basically something that is a little bit more aggressive, buying a lot of stocks in a lot of the popular companies, right? They're not like shooting for the moon. They're not buying like weird things. They're about like conserving the cash and growing it. And so in total, with those two kind of, investments, my defined benefits and then this other account that I have, basically I've got about 17% of my total net worth in these two accounts. And these two accounts are kind of like a set it and forget it. I look at them like once every like 2 months or 3 months. But it's just one of those things where that's kind of like my, retirement money. And so, yeah, about 18% of my net worth is in those two platforms or vehicles. I also have about, and I wrote it down, 13-ish, call it 15% in cash. And the reason why I keep more cash than most people would recommend is because A, I own a business, and B, I just feel more comfortable having it. I also have this money, and it's in a money market account, so it is, making interest. So every month, I'm getting, interest on this account. So it's not like a checking account where you're earning like zero. But I want to have enough money that if there is like an asset or something that I think would be a good investment in terms of real estate, I can buy it. And so I keep a little bit of extra cash on hand. I think cash, it still works and it makes me sleep better at night. And then the other place that I've got, I would say, 5% of my net worth is tied up in inventory. I have a lot of inventory at Pete and Pedro that that I keep on hand. It's not necessarily that it's a good thing, but over the years, it's basically had to increase in terms of how much money I've got sitting in my warehouse because we've had to start buying packaging. We've had to start ordering more like inventory. And so it's just kind of like added up. And this isn't necessarily a good thing. Having a bunch of inventory sitting in a warehouse isn't great, all right? We talk about their dead dollar bills sitting on the shelf. They really are. And until you sell through that inventory, hint, 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 hit the link down below, you can't use that money for investing into your business. You can't use that money to pay the light bills or to give people bonuses or, anything. It's basically just dead little dollar bill soldiers sitting on the shelf and you got to sell through. But the good news is that if I've invested $1 million, call it, into my inventory, over time I can turn, hopefully, that million into 4 million. All right. So it's all about reinvesting into your company. If there's a way for you to invest in yourself, your skill set, or in an asset that can basically help you grow your net worth or your profit or your inventory or your revenue or whatever it is, you should definitely do that. I am not what anybody would consider a savvy investor. I do what makes sense to me. Real estate for me makes sense. I've also, I don't know, I love real estate. I think that in the future, I may get into developing, whether or not it's doing like a spec home or maybe developing and building out some warehouses. I love it so much. And it is something that I feel like is in my DNA. My grandfather was a builder, but I'll probably do it my way, which is not take loans and that kind of stuff, which is stupid, which a lot of people say is stupid. And so whatever. That's how I do it. That's how I roll. I am not super savvy. I do a lot of things that I probably shouldn't do, but I sleep well at night. And that for me is really the most important thing. I'm not worried about, all right, if the economy tanks, am I going to be able to pay back my mortgage or anything like that? And it's a position that I'm in because I was and have always believed in living below your means. You've got to live below your means. If you ever expect to have extra money in order to invest or grow or start a business, you've got to make sure that you live below your means. It's not fun or sexy, but it's super freaking important. And that's something that I truly believe is going to be the difference between you being wildly successful and you being in debt and broke. Debt, in my opinion, is the devil, and it will rob your life of joy. I know because I used to be in massive credit card debt, and I had, in the last video, I talked about $500,000 worth of debt from equipment loans to leases to credit cards. I was a mess, and it robbed me of joy. But now, what gives me joy is your business questions. You like these glasses? Wrong ones. If you have a business question, down below, start it with question and ask it. Every week, I try to get to some of them. This week, we don't have a ton of questions, but the ones that we do, I'm going to get to. The first business question we've got is from Eric Espinoza 7204. He says, what are the first steps to building a personal brand for an online fitness business? I'm a veteran. Could I use that? The first step is to start posting content, period. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about, is it perfect? You got a phone, you can use that. It doesn't matter. Post a video. All right? It's about consistently posting. You're not going to sell anything right now. You just need to get used to working the muscle. And that's one of the things. Content creation is just a muscle you've got to work. All right? It's about putting your unique spin on it, which is, if you're a veteran and you want to use that, fine. But you are going to probably limit yourself if you just make that your only focus, I'm a veteran and that's why. Now, I would probably tie that into your story, or if you can use that angle for something good, but if it's your main thing, I would say, I'd probably try to go a little bit broader than that. But as they say, the riches are in the niches. But yeah, all you got to do is start posting and don't try to be somebody other than yourself. You are amazing. Don't forget it. And there's nobody that can do you as well as you. So do that more. Keep posting. And then you'll figure it out as you go. The next question is from our friend, Give It All or Lose It All. Says, question, advice to your 22-year-old self, investing, indexes, professional/business, relationships, family, life philosophy, daily mantras. I have a daily mantra. It's don't fuck it up today. Honestly, that's the thing that I say every single day. Don't fuck it up today, because I am ultra aware that we are all one or two bad decisions from losing it all, going broke, being homeless, and living in a tent, literally. I truly feel that way. And one of the things that I'm very fortunate, or I feel very fortunate, is that I had a life, I had a business, I had like failures way before I ever found any type of success. And I feel like because of the fact that I can literally taste the failure, I can taste the feeling like I was a huge loser, like it was literally yesterday, I hang on to that, and it is like ever present in the back of my head. I think to this day, I'm still that poor little insecure kid that grew up trying to prove to other people that I was valuable and worthy to, to be friends with, or to, give, a date to. What's up, girl? No, I'm kidding. You get what I'm saying. Advice, yeah, I would say just work your ass off. Work your ass off, and, don't focus on the motivation that will be fleeting. Focus on what you want to accomplish and just go at it as hard as you can. And so for me, I've never been smart enough to have a plan B. I've always been plan A all the time until that plan A goes away, and then I got to figure something else out. But yeah, I would say don't surround yourself with shitty people. If somebody doesn't make you feel good about you, or you don't get energy or value from them, why are you around them? Life's too short to be around people that you don't like. It's also too short to do something that you hate for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday. If you're not happy with where you are or who you're doing it with, fix it. It's your responsibility. Nobody else is going to do it for you. I hope that was a little insight. That's what I'd tell my little 22-year-old self. I'd also tell him, you're going to be all right. Just don't do drugs and don't drink as much. Stupid. Don't sleep with that one girl. Oh, God. I'm kidding. But you get what I'm saying. Hindsight, though, as they say, is 20/20. The next business question is from our friend, oh my gosh, Gary Hernandez, Urban Defense. So for those of you who have ever watched the T. Shanley blog or vlog where I answered business questions, Gary Hernandez was a staple. Gary, what's up, brother? He says, hi, Aaron. I'm opening a second business next to my unit in a plaza. I've been teaching people self-defense for over 25 years in a plaza. Now I'm opening a self-defense store, just selling products to everybody. This is new because it's going to be a full store with all different self-defense products. No people training on a mat. Any thoughts on how to set it up? To set up a supply store. Thank you, Gary. So I love this idea, Gary. I love the fact that it's going to be in your same, complex. My only fear is that now you've got 2 leases to worry about. But yeah, I mean, self-defense. Self-defense, I think, is a thing. I would probably, and this is just me, I see what's popular. And there are some stores around me that are kind of like a little prepperish. I think if you could kind of tie it to kind of that, and when I say prepper, it's kind of like the EDC carry community, right? People that are interested in like pocket knives and stuff like that. If you can kind of tie that and mix it with self-defense, I think you're going to be more successful, because it opens you up to a broader demographic. And that community, like those people that are like super like into like, prepping and like that lifestyle and EDC, like going to gun shows and stuff like that. I'm just saying it's a huge rabid community, and it might open up the doors for some other sales, other products, so that you're not so like tightly kind of dialed into that like self-defense. I'm selling mace and things like that. And I'm sure that I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I love it. And I love that you can kind of direct people from your self-defense course to the store or vice versa. I think it kind of is a win-win, and especially because you're in the same plaza, I think it makes it easier. It's a lot more difficult to be in separate areas, to be like, oh yeah, go over down the road across, that street. And I think it's great that it's in the same plaza. And so leveraging that, I think, is a great thing. And our last business question, because I am running out of time, I got to hop on the 10K Club call, is from our friend. Hi, my name is Michael. What's up, brother? Long story short, Michael is doing the YouTube thing, which is an incredible thing. And three channels, I only started posting regularly last year. He's already got 5,000 people, which is amazing. He really loves what he does. He wants to basically make this successful. He wants to start a successful business off of this and something that is sustainable. What is my advice? My advice is be true to your voice, who you are, and your audience, and don't sell them shitty products. And that's something that you've just got to understand. These people that are with you, these 5,000 people, oh man, they love you because you're awesome. And so you've just got to make sure that you never basically deteriorate their trust or their belief in you. If you're going to create a product, make sure that it's a product that you believe in, that is going to benefit people, and that your community is going to get behind and love. All right? But if you're going to be building some type of business, you've got to also think long term. All right? If you think for a second, and at 5,000, like you can get this to 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, right? And you're going to be able to grow and scale your business, you know, as a result of just your audience growing and your reach growing. But one of the things that I was ultra aware of early on is that this is going to not always be the case. I'm not always going to be able to do a video, get it to hundreds of thousands of people and sell, you know, thousands of units. Eventually, my influence will start to drop and wane. And so one of the things I would say is if you are going to be building a business, think about it from the business perspective of building something that is sustainable without you. What does it look like? It might need you right now, but long term, how do you do that? All right? If it is a brand and you're going to call it your name, like that's fine, but is that the smartest decision? If somebody knows you, great. Like if somebody knows like Aaron Marino or Alpha M, and I was selling the Alpha M hair product, like that's fine, but what happens when nobody cares about Alpha M? It limits my ability to market, all right, the product. Alex Costa, he has a hair product, but it's like Forte Series by Alex Costa. He's got another brand name, but then he's leveraging his celebrity to the people that know him by adding his name there. I went with Pete and Pedro. It has nothing to do with me, or it does. It's got a story, but it's not like tied to Alpha M. Tiege Hanley, same sort of thing. We knew early on my celebrity or my influence will get us to a certain point, but then we're going to need to figure out marketing and how to actually move the needle. And that's something that you will have to figure out eventually. But right now, focus on building your community, doing you, giving these guys or gals whatever they want, whatever they love, and then think about what is that business or auxiliary something that you can create. Create it, make it awesome, and then think about how you can scale it eventually. Gentlemen, if you've got a business question down below, start it with question and ask it. If I didn't get to your question, copy and paste it in this community, or I should say down below, and hopefully next week I'll be able to get to it. You guys are amazing, and if you want to get to something, get to this deal. It's incredible. $20. Make you holla.